Hello and welcome. You're here with me, Cherry Tumbler. We're in DCS. We're in our F5 Flaming Cliffs version, and this is a playthrough of my mission Operation Revenge, which is the FC3 Flaming Cliffs 3 version. This is based on a mission that I released about a year ago. I did a little bit of tweaking because there are some changes that were needed because this is a low fidelity aircraft, which means it's not a clickable cockpit. So I had to make some changes, and we'll talk about that as we go through the mission. Briefing is here. I will scroll through it slowly so you can read it, but there is a knee pad that we'll look through that will have a lot more information. So that's the briefing. The basic premise is it's day one of the Iran-Iraq war, pretty much. In the morning, the Iraqis did a surprise attack on all of the airfields in Iran, and they thought they'd wiped out everything. It turns out they didn't, and so little, in fact, that by early afternoon, the Iranians were able to do a counterattack, and that's what this is now. So when I hit fly, there's going to be an explosion, which is going to simulate the damage from earlier. So 2 seconds. Okay, so there's the explosion, and here we are in our lovely F5. We are Lion 1 and Lion 2, and just taxiing out now at Jackal 1 and 2. So Jackal are the air defense kind of flight looking after us, and we are the ground attack. Underneath on our central pylon we have 150 gallons of fuel. The black nose bomb there is actually a rocket pod with the aerodynamic cover. Then the bomb with the yellow circle is a Mark 117, 750 kg pound bomb. And then we've got some AIM 9, I think they're P5s, terrible, absolutely terrible sidewinders, early war ones. But let's get this thing started. Now this is a playthrough rather than a tutorial, so I will make some mistakes, I'm sure, but we will talk through all the things that I'm doing, and hopefully that will help with your own flying. So with the Flaming Cliffs aircraft, there are only a few keys we need to do for startup. So we need to turn the battery on, the battery on, electric power switch. Then we'll start the engines. Now you can start them individually, but there's no real point, you may as well just start them both. I'm going to do a little bit of trim, nose hat here. We're going to do nose wheel steering, so this one here, which is a on-off switch rather than press and hold. And then you've got standard things like your landing gear up and down. You might want mirrors, and I think that's pretty much it. We're going to probably talk to the ground crew. Oh, sorry, that's knee pad. To talk to the air traffic here, and we can also use that to talk to the ground crew. Okay, so cancel here. So just to quickly go over what we need to do here. So the map is updated yesterday. I'm filming this on the 1st of October, 2024. And yesterday there was a big update, and the map got completely covered in helicopter sites, which is awesome. Now you may notice it's the Iran-Iraq war, but this is Syria, and that's because the Syria map, well, it's called, sorry, the Iran-Iraq map, which is called Persian Gulf, doesn't really cover the area that I want it to do, and the actual area between Iran and Iraq is really plain and boring. It's not populated on the map very well. So we're using Syria just to give us something to do. We are here. Because it's DCS, I can't actually change the names of the aircraft, which is really frustrating. So Springfield, a Jackal, and Enfield are us in Lion. We're going to get airborne from Bashar al-Assad. We're going to fly down to this big lake here, which is a heading of about 150. Then after the lake, it's about 210, heading down to Iraqi Air Base, and this is our target. And if we go onto the satellite map and zoom in a bit more, we've got these, they're workshops, I think, but in this mission they're warehouses, they are hangars. So if we can try and bomb any of those, we'll get some points. If we want to risk it, there's this one big hangar that's worth more points. And then scattered around in this dispersal will be some MiG-21s. The airfield is defended by an SA2 battery and potentially a ZSU-23 AAA gun. And we've had intelligence reports that there are MiG-21s flying around in this area who may come and get us, but that is what Jackal are for. So let's get started then. Right shift and L for battery. And before we do anything else, if you wanted to change the payload before you start your engines, if you use the comms menu, which was that button I showed you earlier, and then go to ground crew, rearm and refuel, you can change your payload. It's a low fidelity aircraft, so we can't flick these switches, which is what we would normally do in the other version, so that we could drop our bombs individually. With this low fidelity, because I've got a Mark 17 and a Mark 117 here, they will drop as a pair. Now if you wanted to try and get a higher score in this game, you could potentially change your rocket pods for maybe cluster bombs, and if you're being really sneaky, you could get rid of one of these 750 pound bombs and maybe swap it for a 500 pound bomb. and that will still destroy the hangar buildings. The problem you'll have is that it's 250 pounds weight difference, so your plane is going to be flying, you'll need to use a lot of trim to get your aircraft to fly straight level. I wouldn't recommend going for any less fuel than you have. You have this fuel tank here. I think it's a 150 gallon fuel tank. You might want to upgrade to 275. It will make you a little bit heavier, but you'll give you a little bit more flex. But we're not going to change any of that. So anyway, so we did right shift and L to start the battery, and then we're going to do right shift and home, and that will start the engines. And what we're looking for is all of these lights on the caution panel to go out. You'll see here we've got this caution light that's on. That should go out when we start up, and won't come on until our fuel runs out later, which is on the central tank anyway. And we can tell we've got a central tank because it says here X fuel CL. It's automatically gone into the up position, and so next time when that caution light comes on, we'll check this switch, and if that CL switch is in the off position, then we know that our external tank is empty. In the full fidelity aircraft you'd also get a warning down here, but at the moment we don't get those warnings. It's slightly lower kind of functionality. What we will do is we'll adjust the pitch trim. Now if I just turn my head in a really stupid way and look this way, you can see this little dial underneath here that says pitch trim. So I'm just going to pitch, sorry it's very hard to keep my head straight at this, I'm looking like really over my left shoulder here. Going to go to about 6, and that should be fine. I'm going to close the canopy, turn on the mirrors, and we can see all of the warning lights are off. So we're good to go. Now easy comms is selected, so that's kind of one of the first changes. In the full fidelity aircraft you would have this comms panel here. You can do a manual or preset, you can use different channels and you can type everything in. We don't have that option, we just have to talk to somebody and it will automatically change. So for the mission 264 is the operational frequency, so Jackal and Lion are on that. If I bring up the comms menu and try and talk to air traffic, now we're at Al Basra. For some reason it's saying Hammer. Okay, so this is weird. So this is as a result of the update today. It shouldn't. Yesterday when I played this mission, it actually came up with the actual airfield. So that's not any of the ones that we want. So what we're going to do is we're just going to taxi. I'm going to push the nose wheel steer button just one time. Okay, so there it's come up now. So if I request takeoff,
in field 1, request takeoff.
Should change. That 264 should change down here to the air traffic frequency. So let's not try and go too fast here.
Rolling.
Okay, we'll give it one more go and see if they reply. What will happen is when as we start rolling down the runway, it will change. It's a bit weird.
In field 1, request takeoff.
Yeah, that's not going to change. Still a bit glitchy with this, with the flaming close aircraft, but you'll see in a second. From 264, it'll change to something like 118. What we'll do is we'll annoy air traffic, and they'll have to speak to us then. Okay, I've got my flaps in the up position. I don't need them down for this at the moment. This aircraft will be fine. And we're hitting about 200 here on the speed, so we can start climbing. Get the gear up. And we're trying to go too steep. Okay, now I'm absolutely hemorrhaging fuel at the moment. Cool, because we see here the fuel flow at the bottom there, and then the nozzles. So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the RPM. That will close the nozzles, and it will also reduce the fuel flow. Gosh, not that easy to say. And we'll take a heading of 150. Let's power up a little bit more. And then what I'm doing is I'm just going to bring some of that trim off by putting the trim nose down so that I can fly without using any controls. So the flaps are still in the up position. What you can do is I have mine bound in a bit of a weird way. So I just have flaps landing position and flaps up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically put them down, put them up again, and put them down until it says auto. What you could just do is flaps up and down. So ignore the craziness you're going to see in a second here. So it's going to do, that's landing, up, and we go down again. There we go. Down twice, and it's gone into automatic. So that's all good. We're slowly climbing away. on a heading of 150. Now, the heading wise, I knew that because it's from the brief. So to bring up the briefing kneeboards, we can do this one, kneeboard on and off, and we can cycle through the pages with next page and previous page. So I'm going to bring up the kneeboard, and I'm going to quickly flick through, and then we get to the beginning of these. These are the extra ones that I add. So you've got title page. This tells you what's going on. This tells you what you have to do and how you have to do it. So basically waypoint 1 is the lake, waypoint 2 is the target. We have a radar warning receiver, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And we're going to use that to help work out where the enemy is. Who the friendly forces are, who the enemy forces are, and we've talked through all of those. We've got rules of engagement in a big red box there. That's relatively important. We can only kill military targets in this mission. And then navigation, waypoint 0 is where we got airborne, waypoint 1 is the lake, 2 is the target, and then 3/0 is back home. We can go any altitude we want, but I'm choosing to climb up probably to about 20,000 feet because I want to try and save fuel. And I also want the SAM to light me up, and we'll see why later. We've got the frequencies there. Now Easy Comms is active, and as I saw there, it didn't really work as well as it should do. But if you did want to change this to a full fidelity aircraft, those are the channels that you would need. Then we've got a note about the runway and some little guidance there to get us through the mission. This is a scored mission. Some people don't like having scores, some people do, but I just add them because it's optional. So if we destroy any of those, the red rimmed hangar buildings, they're worth 5 each. If we go for the big one that had the glass window, that's 10. Any of the parked aircraft are worth 3 each, and we could see up to 3 moving MiGs, and they're worth 8 each, so they're definitely worth getting. And the note there is whoever shoots them down, even if it's our wingmen, we still get the points, which is great. And then we get 11 points for landing home, so it's actually quite good to land back home. If we break the rules of engagement or we get killed, the penalty is quite high, so you're pretty much going to get a 0 score. So try not to do that. Okay, so we're going to get I'm just going to close this down a second. So if you play this yourself, there is an actual radio clip from the BBC. I think it's 3 days after the war started, but what it is, we'll skip that, and you can listen to that in your own time. Bring up that knee-pad again. These are the awards. I will tweak this mission. It is the mission is live, and I'll put the link for it down in the description. But at the moment, when you land on the ground, it doesn't actually give you the medals. You just have to work out your score yourself. But what I'll do is I will tweak it, and you'll actually get these awarded on screen. We're looking for anything above 16 points. If we get more than 34, so that's a pass. 34 points, and that's a silver award. 50 points. Very, very hard to get 50 points with this standard loadout. Anyway, we'll get a gold award. And then we've got a little bit of situational stuff, so that's where we were parking, we got airborne. And if you notice, the right hand runway is great, the left hand runway is covered in X's. That's what was bombed earlier by the Iraqis, so we don't land on there. There's craters all over the place, you'll blow up. A bit of target information, so the recommended heading of 180, probably going to ignore that and come in a slightly different way, just because I want to bait that SA2. And then close-up pictures of what we're going to see. So you've got those big hangars with the grey hangars with the red roofs. Going to try and put bomb in there, or bombs in there, because they're going to launch a pair. And then we'll rocket up the parked MiGs, and I might try and strafe with the cannon, and we'll try and get a few extra points with that. And then we'll head home. So that's that. Now, navigation-wise, if you are used to flaming cliffs, you'll be used to the different modes that we have. So you have up to 7 basic modes for your aircraft. The F-5 has 4 modes. So 1 is navigation, and it has 2 modes really, which is nothing and standard, and we'll see that in a second. Air-to-air is, as you'd imagine, it's your sidewinders. Close air is dogfighting, but also sidewinders if you need them. And then air-to-ground, and we'll do that. When we go into navigation mode, we will also go through next waypoint and previous waypoint. I notice it says waypoint, airfield or target, and you'll see why that is. So at the moment I've not got anything selected, and this is my navigation computer essentially. And if I go to the next waypoint, so it's telling me I need to go behind me. If I go to the next waypoint, you'd think of waypoint 1, waypoint 2, waypoint 3, waypoint 4, hang on, we don't have 4 waypoints, 5, 6, 7. So what this is doing is it's in landing mode, so it's pointing at all of the airfields around me and giving me directions. So to get in actual navigation mode, I need to push 1, or whatever I've bound, and you see it jump, and it's telling me that the waypoint 0 by default, which is where we got airborne from, is 22 miles behind me on a heading of 348. Now if I go to next waypoint, so waypoint 1 is off in that direction, and I do actually want to go that way, so we'll turn that one. Like so. So that's going to be the lake off in the distance. In fact, you might just be able to see it there, just to that there. That's the huge lake. And then waypoint 2 is the target, which is off down that way somewhere. And if I go to the next waypoint, it goes back to 0, or waypoint 3 in this instance, which is home. So we'll use that later. So let's pop it back to waypoint 1. Still a little bit off. And we'll head in that direction. Now we've got a little bit of time because I'm flying deliberately slowly. Let me just put the nose down a bit and we'll get a bit more speed up. Because I'm really conscious of my fuel use. I did a test mission of this yesterday for recording, and I was just in Afterburner. So I had... It doesn't want to go into Afterburner. That's very strange. Let's try. There we go. I was in Afterburner, and I was like literally just in Afterburner, and I ran out of fuel and fell out the sky, which was very annoying. So we're out of Afterburner now, and you can tell that because the nozzle is at 20% or less. And also you can see the fuel use is really low. And to the right of it here, we've got the 2 needles. Those are your fuel tanks. And in the full fidelity aircraft, you have a bit more control over your fuel with these switches. They work out which tank empties first, but with this you don't have any control. It just picks something for you, which is fine. I mean, the default settings are the most normal settings, I guess. It's just you lack a little bit of finesse. Okay, I'm just trying to trim this into straight level flying, and we'll get a bit more speed up. Fab. Let's talk about some other differences that we've got. So the main one for this mission, actually before we do that, have a look here. So we've got the caution light came on. There's no warning in the ladder, this warning panel here, but what we can see is that switch that said X fuel CL has gone down. So the external fuel is now empty. So I need to jettison the tank. And we do that with, I've rebound this to J, but the default is left alt and R for jettison fuel tanks. And if we pop outside, and I hit my key, hopefully that will go through the wingman. So there's line 2's behind me, that's Jackal 1 and 2 covering me. There, so we've jettisoned our fuel tanks, and line 2 will do his when he needs to. Let's try and trim this nose down a bit more. And you notice the caution light hasn't gone out, so at the moment there is no way of turning that caution light off once it's on, whereas in the full fidelity aircraft you would just click that button and the light would reset. RWR panel is another thing that's going to be different. So the full fidelity, you have a little bit more control over what it shows. You have like search mode and track mode and that kind of thing. With this version you have a combined mode, which is actually quite nice. The symbology is ever so slightly different, so you'll see instead of like S for search radar, what we'll actually see is it will automatically translate it to something more useful. So we'll see a 2 for the SA2, we'll see a 21 for the MiG-21s, and we can see here F5 for shock horror, the F5s who are radiating right behind us. If it has a diamond around it like that, this panel doesn't have an IFF, an identify friend or foe. It only knows, oh, there is a radar right here and it's very close. I think that is the biggest threat. So what it thinks is the biggest threat, it puts a diamond around. So that is that. What we actually care about are circles and flashing circles. So if we see a circle around something, so later we'll see a 2 with a circle around it, the circle means, so if it's just a 2, it means that's a radar, an SA2 that's pulsing its radar, it's having a look around. When it gets a circle, that means it's gone from searching to tracking, and then when we have a flashing circle, that means it's firing at us or at something very close to us. And we'll also hear different noise beeps for that. How far away from the target? 17, sorry, from the waypoint. So we'll definitely see that as we go down towards the Valley of Doom. When we do see that flashing, we will need to use Chaff and Flares. Now that is the Chaff and Flare that you would normally be using in the full fidelity, but we just need to use the Chaff and Flare keys on this one, which is Chaff and Flare. Or if you want to use continuously dispense, don't do that. You just you'll empty your stock in very quick time. Just use Chaff and Flare, and they will dispense as we hit those keys, which will be nice. We are in navigation mode, so it should, by default, when we get over the waypoint, change to waypoint 2, and there's the lake very clearly there now. Very big waypoint. But it should automatically switch across to the next waypoint. And if it doesn't, if we've missed it by maybe 2 or 3 miles, we'll just manually do it. Another change that we have is, if you've played the Operation Revenge, the other version that I released a while ago, you had to navigate everywhere with the TACAN. We were using TACAN 18 X-Ray. We don't have a TACAN on here, unfortunately, so that is not an option. The other stuff is bombs and weapon panels. That's going to be different, but what we'll do is after we take the turn, we'll have a little bit of time and we can do that. In fact, we've got a bit of time now actually, we're pendling along nicely. So the next mode that we have is air to ground mode, which is here, air to ground mode. And we're in that mode, we've got a couple of extra keys. So we have got weapon change. So if it's going to give us a bomb to start with. If we want to change to rockets, we'll push that. We've got weapon release, and that is bomb and rocket release. We have your normal trigger, which is weapon fire, and that's our cannon. And then if we want, there's a sort of special sub mode, which is cannon mode, and that just does a very small tweak on the cockpit before we fire that. So I'll show you that now while we're quiet. We've still got, we've got about 10 miles before we turn anyway. So I'm going to go into air to ground mode. You'll see that the gun pods, the covers opened up there, and the cannons have shown themselves. We've got a targeting HUD, which is nice, and then it's done a lot of switches for us, which is great if you like that kind of thing. So it's put it into bomb mode. It's selected the 2 pylons on the outside that aren't the yellow ones. The yellow ones are the sidewinders, so it's got the 2 white ones. So it's picked the Mark 117s. It's done all the fusing and that kind of thing for us, and it's also set the gun depression to 80. If you look in the manual for the F-5 Flaming Cliff, it has got like a bomb table, and it tells you exactly what height and speed and things you're supposed to be dropping at for that pipper to be exactly in the right place. I'm going to ignore that and just wing it. It'll be fine. We'll just come in steeply and release slightly earlier than it shows. With the full fidelity aircraft, you have that depression switch there. It says RET depression. You can change that number, and then you can have it to exactly what it is you want it to be. The other thing you might notice is, because I've gone into air to ground mode, we've lost the navigation information. It's still pointing in the right direction, so it is off there to the left, but we're not getting any of the information on the range to go. It's almost like we've lost the TACAN because we're in this mode. So I just go back into, actually we won't worry about that, we'll turn in a second. The weapon change button, I've pushed it once and it's automatically changed the dial across the rockets. It's selected the 2 pylons, which are the rocket pods, which we can probably just, no, can't quite see out the window there. And also it's changed the depression to 14, which is the recommended setting for rockets. And then if I hit cycle again, it goes back to bombs again. It's cycling between the 2. Now you can fire your cannon at any point. If I put it to 80, we'll see a bit of a difference. So just tap the fire button and it works. But there is a special mode, which I think is C or space bar, which moves the gun sight and it gives it a depression of 12. And that's the recommended kind of setting for using the cannon. Now that waypoint hasn't changed, possibly because we're not in air to ground mode, sorry, air to navigation mode. Let me just change. In fact, we need to come out of cannon mode. I'll leave it in bombs, and I'm going to go back into navigation mode. Yeah, it's what it has done is when you come out of air to air or air to ground mode and go back to navigation, it automatically sets waypoint 0, which is a bit of a pain. So we'll go waypoint 1. We've passed that, and waypoint 2 is off that way. So let's head down that way, and you'll be pleased to know we've pretty much covered everything already, so we can concentrate on shooting the baddies. Now the last thing we need, now that we're in the danger zone, is radar. You know, if you want to go stealthy, you could leave a radar off. Now the F5s behind us are radiating, so we may as well turn ours on as well. Now this is not a radar tutorial, sorry, because there is a few bits that we could talk about. But in basic terms, we're going to turn the radar on and off. We can zoom it in and out a little bit. We can move the target designator up and down if we're at 20 miles or less. And if we if it's a close-ish target, I think it's 10 miles, or then you can do target lock. Well, you might not see anything. I'm going to turn the radar on, and what we have here is the range is 20 miles. We have those little bars at the bottom on my target designator. They only go up halfway. So this is a look down radar, so I'm looking out 20 miles here, and I could only lock up to 20 miles. And if you want to lock something, you would hit lock, and then I think it's the backspace key, brakes lock. And if you notice, when I locked, it went to 10 miles as well. 40, let's go back down to 20. And that's pretty much it. It doesn't, because we don't have air-to-air radar missiles, like AMRAAMs and things, this is only really for using your gun pipper. And actually it's quite an accurate gun pipper when you locked onto a target. But let's head on down. So my plan is, what we're supposed to do is fly right down this valley of doom, meet all the enemy, have a huge dogfight, and get shot at by an SA2. Well, I'm not going to do that. Let's not play the Iranian Iraqis their own game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive down and use these hills for cover. I still want to be seen by the SA2, because from the mission briefing it had 4 launches. If I can get all 4 of those to launch, or at least most of them to launch before I get close, then I think it takes about half an hour to reload, which means I can bomb my target without too much worry. And they're only SA2s, so they should be relatively easy to defeat. And what I am worried about are the MiG-21s, who are out here somewhere. Now Springfield, or Jackal, should see them, but if they don't, we may have to fight them. Now, we have got Sidewinders. You can, if you want, engage them. You can change your flight profile. You could go straight down that valley if you want low level, and you will probably pick up those targets with your radar, and I'll let you see how that works yourself. Okay, more beeps. Okay, there's another beep. So we've got a 2. So that means an SA2 is radiating. It's tracking at the moment. Sorry, it's searching, but it's not got a track. Now I've put dots on as well, just to make spotting things a little easier for the video. So we should see some dots around, and we'll see the dots for the missiles, and we'll see dots for ground targets as well. Little red dots. Okay, so we've got MiG-21s there, which the computer thinks is the biggest threat. 2 MiG-21s, and now the SA2, and now the F-5. So again, ignore the diamond. That's not really important. But there is an SA2 somewhere off to the left. In fact, there's a dot there. I don't know if you can see that. I think that's a MiG-21. Yeah, that's a MiG-21 rather than a missile. Now if you look, we've got a circle around the 21s. They're locking on something. So I'm going to go NOE. Excellent. So Springfield has spotted the enemy. There's one there as well. And hopefully the dogfight will start. Like I said, if you want to get involved in this, you can. Fuel is really tight though. And you're carrying a lot of bombs and you're very heavy. So I wouldn't recommend it. Oh, missiles going over ahead.
Springfield 1, engaging bandit at bullseye 230.
Okay, they're doing their thing.
At 9,000.
Let's go low level.
9 o'clock.
Okay. Well, good luck, Jackal. And as it says in the briefing, it doesn't matter who gets those kills. As the mission commander, we will get the score. Okay, MiG-21 has been shot down. Good job. Okay, I don't see the other 21, which is a worry. Oh, it's up there. Okay, so he's busy fighting. We will need to be careful. If he fires a missile, then we... Okay. Chaffing and flaring. Oh, he's actually fired the missile off down that way, I think. Possibly at my wingman. Okay. It's hard trying to fly lowish and watch what's going on behind. Right, we'll ignore them anyway. Now the SA2, well, the target is off to our left somewhere. So if that MiG is busy, yeah, he's got to be too busy to catch us now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start climbing, because I don't want to get too close to the SA2 before I bait it. I want to head him. Excellent. Both MiG-21s sorted out by our wingman. Perfect. Right, just the SA2 to worry about now. Now, this is directional, but it doesn't really have a range. It's based on how much of a threat or how strong the signal is. So, but we know it's relatively close, and it's over here somewhere. I'm probably looking straight the wrong way. I can't even see for looking. But the navigation thing is saying off this way, so it's about here somewhere. Come on, SA2. Now it is tempting to go into Afterburner at this point, but what I don't want to do is forget and then use all my fuel. Okay, if that SA2 isn't going to do it, then what we'll do is we'll get the wingman to go in and we'll start our attack. So navigation mode. Oh, there you go. Missile launch. There. So that's one missile. Let's get the nose down. Be careful not to get too much negative G, because we will pass out. Bit more chaff and flare. Okay, that's one. Hopefully the wingman's not going to get killed. Come on now, wingman. There's his second missile. That missed. There's the second one. Wingman going to survive too? Yes, he's low level. That's great. Now you notice we didn't hear like a deedle sound. That's because the missile wasn't locking on us. Okay, so doo-doo, that doo-doo is a new threat, or an old new threat. And it's down there somewhere. So what I could say is wingman. Oh, okay. Wingman option is gone. So that means I've lost my wingman. Okay. Right. Okay, this is a circle. Come on, fire at me. How long does it take for these guys to lock? There's the runway there. Right over there is where the target area is. We want this SA2 to shoot at us. Come on. Okay, there you go. There's the missile. Let's go down. We'll try and use the hills to defeat it. We're flying across it at 90 degrees as well, which makes it very difficult for it to hit us. And it's gone for the Chaff and Flares anyway behind us. Okay, that's 3. Now if I turn in and get in quickly, I'll be inside its minimum engagement range, hopefully. This might go horribly wrong, which means it won't be able to shoot us anyway. What's that going towards us? Nope, that's ground. As you might be able to see all those little red dots there. Those are all the different ground targets. Okay, I think we're too close for it to get us now. So, air-to-ground mode. I've got 80 degrees depression, so I know I'm in bombs. I'm going to climb up. The main threat of this now is any ZSUs, the AAA guns. So we'll try and keep relatively high. I'm not going to mess around here. It's going to be in, drop the bombs, turn around again, do a quick bit of rocketing, and get out. What I've got to be careful is not to turn out too far, because that way the SA2 will be able to lock us and shoot us. Now you could start strafing up the ground targets if you want, as in the SA2 launchers. They're all in the little dugouts there. But what I'll do is I'm just going to concentrate on trying to put a bomb on these 5 hangars. So relatively steep. Try to get the wings level. Release slightly early. Pickle as a pair, you have no control over that. Fly away. Okay, looks like we got one of the hangars and a few of the MiGs. Yeah, 1 hangar and 2 MiGs got damaged. It's day 1 of the war, so damaging these MiGs is just as good as destroying them because they're going to be out of action for 24 hours. And we have the gun depression's gone to 14, so I'm in rocket mode. Now, yeah, there's a line of 4 MiG-21s there. Let's rocket those, and then we'll go home. So second pass, and we want to go north anyway, so this will be perfect. We've got a good score so far. We've the 2 MiGs that got shot down. The hangar is 5, and the 2 other ones is it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 27-ish, and if we land 30 odd, so we're on for a silver medal at the moment if we don't mess us up. So let's rocket those MiGs and run away. How's the fuel? Yeah, we're okay with fuel actually. That's not bad. Right. Okay, that's all of the rockets. We damaged some more there. 1, 2, 3, 4, another 5 MiGs. Took some damage there. And we could do a cannon strafe. I'll just show you a cannon strafe, I suppose. So I'm going to push C. So you see we've got 14 degrees on the Pipper. It's gone to 12. It's a very small change. Here we go. Let's do a quick strafe. Oh, look, see that there? There's a MiG-21 who's taxiing out. So what I'm going to try and do is not kill myself by crashing into something. I'll do a little bit of a strafe, because what I don't want him to do is get airborne and chase me down. So we'll strafe him a bit. Okay, that'll do it. Let's run away. Let's not crash into anything. Okay, was that enough to stop him? Okay, it's given us the 8 points. Is he actually stopped? Yeah. Right, let's run away. So we're going to go back into navigation mode. And it's to 0 by default, which in this instance is great for us, because we want to go home. And the thing we have to be careful of is, if we fly away from the SA2 that we haven't shot up, then he might track us. and shoot us down. So we're just going to watch for if there's a 2 appears, or if we see the circle around a 2, or we hear the warning lights. Yeah, but there's Jackal. They're still patrolling. Let's go home. We've got 90 miles to go, and our fuel tank's here. Absolutely loads of fuel. So you could, if you want to risk it, put some afterburner on and get home a bit quicker. What I'll do is I'm just trimming my nose down a bit here. Okay, that's really annoying because it's the F-5s that it's picking up and making it sound like it's really important, but actually it's not that a threat. It's very hard to trim this into level flight. But we are getting some speed now, so at least going home will be quicker. And we can go even faster, because what we could do is, what we still have is we've got all the rocket pods on, and if we look from outside you can see that they're empty, you can see all the way through, so we know we've got the rockets have gone. And we can jettison those, and that is, I think it's, there you go, weapons jettison, which the default is left control and W, but I use right shift and J. And the more you push it, the more things fall off. So the first time you tap it, it should be rocket pods. Now the second time, I think it's weapon mounts, but I'm not going to push it because it may also get rid of your sidewinders, and I'm not fussed about those little pylon, those little sticky up bits here. I'm not fussed about those being on at the moment. It's not costing me a lot of speed. But when we get closer to the airfield, what I might do is I might just tap it and see. I'm pretty sure the second time you tap it, it's mounts, and the third time is sidewinders, but I may be wrong. So we're heading home. What we can do is we can speed up the game, because we have only got, we've got 80 miles to go. We can definitely go a bit quicker here. And that will be, if we go into the UI layer, we have here time accelerate, time decelerate, and time normal. And what I normally do is I do a few times to do, every time you hit the time accelerate button, the game goes faster and faster. So like times 1, times 2, times 5, times 10 type thing. And then time normal goes straight back to time 1. So I'm going to push it a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can't see how many times you've sped up, but if you use the F10 map in the top right here, it says times 5, so I'm at times 5, and that'll do. The controls are very light. You can still fly, but you just have to be super careful with it and keep an eye on everything that's going on. So watch your fuel going down, all that kind of thing. So we're heading home. Oh, we see the SA2, so I'm going to go down to normal speed. So the SA2 is trying to track us at the moment. We're 60 miles from home, so we're probably just at the very edge of its radar range. We might even be safe at this point for the actual missile range. And we've got 60 miles to go. Just tiny little bit of trim here, and we'll speed up time again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at times 5 again. I can see the miles are going down. In here, so we've got 48 miles. Heading home. Oh, right. Now, here we go on the screen. So we have got a radar contact. That is, remember, we're looking down, so it's off to our left somewhere. We don't have any height information. In the full fidelity, you can pitch the radar up and down. I don't think you can do that. Just have a very quick look. So we have to go back into the F5. Make sure you're in the right F5, so we're in the FC. If we go into radar, that's radio. Yeah, okay, so you can scan up and down. And what that would do is if you scanned up and it disappeared, you would know that it was a lower target. But somewhere off to the left here, over there somewhere, is a contact. And I can move my cursor around. I can't go past the center line because I'm at 20 miles range. But when it gets inside it, what I can do is I can lock on it, and then I could go have a look. It's up there somewhere. And what I'll do is I won't go anywhere near that. And what you can do is when you play that for yourself, you can go and have a look and see what that is and decide what you want to do. But if you wanted to lock onto it, for a gunfight mode, for example, put it over the top, lock on, and then that little X is telling you where you need to put your nose. So you need to come round to the left, and then go have a good look and see what you think you should do with that. And then backspace to break lock anyway. It's all good, but we'll let that one go for now, and we'll just head home. We are about 27 miles from home, so let's see if we can talk to air traffic. No, again, this worked fine yesterday. Weirdly, yeah, we've not got the right airfield. That is very peculiar. I'll let the I might put that as a bug report because that should be on there. So we're going to have to land without air traffic, but that's not major drama. The airfield is 24 miles ahead of us somewhere. It's a dual runway, but there it is there, just off the centre view. And you might be able to adjust it. You can see there's a little black bit on the back end of it. That's smoke. So we'll position for that, for the runways. We'll cut the power down a little bit as we descend. This thing does have air brakes. Let's just put it onto everything, and air brakes is this one, and that is on off when you have that one. So one press on, one press off, I believe. Let's have a quick look. So, yeah, tap it once, tap it again, it's off. And I'm going to do that weapon jettison again. So the second time I hit jettison, that gets rid of the mountings, and then if I hit it again, it's going to take those side winders off. But I'll keep those because they're expensive. So let's bring it down and we'll descend in. Now this does have a drag chute, and we'll talk about that before I'm on the runway and I'm trying to do it. I've bound that to P. I think that's the default. And you push it once, it deploys the drag chute, and then you push it again and it falls off when you're ready. And I'm going to do, flaps are currently on auto, that's fine. As I get onto finals, I might just tap to landing. We may have to do a run and brake anyway, because I can't see what's going on through this cloud. And we're still going quite quickly. Yeah, we did okay with fuel actually. We could maybe have strafed a little bit more. Right, so the airfield is over there. Now, as we're looking at it, the left-hand runway is the one that's broken. We can't use that. So we're going to land on the right-hand one. I'm just going to keep an eye on the speed. Flaps on auto is still fine for now. Just trying to decelerate nicely. Can we still talk to where traffic is? I wonder if it's... No, that's really weird. Okay. Right, sorry air traffic, but we're just going to... We'll come in. I'm just going to control the speed. We're at 5,000 feet now. Can we turn the RWR off? I wonder if we can. Hang on a sec. RWR. No, just mode select. We can't actually turn it on and off. That's a pity. But you can turn the volume down. So you could bind keys, you know, that beeping sound that's quite annoying. You could bind keys that turn those beeps right down. Anyway, we're coming in quite nicely. So what I'll do is we will... A little bit of air brake. And then we'll put the gear down. As you see there, when I put the gear down, the flaps by default went to full, which is nice. And we just keep an eye on the speed. What we don't, we got airborne at 200, so we don't want to be definitely too close to 200 because otherwise we're going to fall out the sky. Okay. Now we see all the flares going up here. That's just another reminder, don't use that runway. Put the air brake back in here then. Now when you're landing, I used to always try and land on the threshold, which is all those bars going across. What you want to do is land on the bigger white rectangle that's a little bit further down. So we're coming in nicely. Again, another reminder not to land on that runway. So this is the threshold, but we're supposed to put our wheels down here.
Springfield 1,
So,
on station at Bull 330 for
I'm going to just use the wheel brakes a bit. And then I'm going to push P for parachute.
Springfield 1, pushing from
side.
waypoint 1 at 350.
Oh! Now that's what happens when I try to go outside view. Shouldn't have done that. We've got away with it though. I'm going to push P for parachute again. And that makes the parachute fall off. And that's it there on the floor. Whew. Well, we nearly threw the mission away there at the very last seconds. We'll taxi on back. So I'm going to do a relatively high-speed taxi. See, again, no, it's weird. It's changed to the airfield there. Air traffic. Yeah, it's just not letting me do anything. I wonder if it was... No. Okay. It's a bug. And that's a new bug because that wasn't a problem yesterday. So we'll taxi back. Now for the mission scoring, you can just park anywhere on this runway. You can park anywhere on any of the hard standings out there. And the mission ends. But what I'll do is I'll just park back to show you if you're doing like a perfect recovery, then here you go. I'm obviously going a little bit quicker than walking speed here. So let's slow this down. Brakes on. I can open the canopy now. The dramatic skidding brakes there. We need to vacate this runway so the rest of the guys can come in. Okay, that's close enough. That's pretty much where we found it at the beginning. There you go. So line 1 has returned to base, and we can end the mission when ready. Now, as I've mentioned, when I do the update for this mission, you will get a medal. You'll see a medal at this point, or a mission performance score. There is another way we'll see the performance score in a second, but the medal we'll have to work out for ourselves. So just to remind ourselves from the briefing there, if we scored more than 34 points, if we want more than 16, then we've completed the mission. If we get 34 to 49, we got a silver, and if we got 50 or more, unlikely, we may have done, then we get a gold. Now to shut down the aircraft, it's pretty much the same as we did at the beginning. We can, let's go down to all. We're going to turn the electric power off, and then instead of engine start, we're going to do engine stop, which is right shift and end, and that's pretty much it. You don't need to do anything else. So we'll stop the engines like so, and then we can do battery, and that's the aircraft ready for the next mission. Now to see how we actually scored after our lovely sortie there, we'll push escape and we'll quit, and then after a few seconds it should tell us everything that happened. Like so. Right, so this score here, we don't need to worry about. That's the in-game score, so that's if we destroyed things, like actually properly blew up things on the ground. That's the in-game version. What we care about is the result score, and it's out of 100. Very, very unlikely to get 100 unless you're playing this as a multiplayer. If you had 4 of your mates or 3 of your mates and did that, you could certainly do that. But we scored 40, so we got a silver medal. Well done us. And if you want to see what we did, you can scroll through all this, which is quite confusing. But if you go to Initiator and then go to Line 1 here, that was us. That tells you everything that went on. So we got airborne, we went round, we did all these damage bits here on all the parts MiGs. Then the second rockets and things, we did more damage on the MiGs, and then we came home and landed. And that's it. You can watch the track back, and you could see all that. That's definitely got a lot better now. So you'll see the replay of what you did. But I'd recommend saving the track first before you do that, because watching the track weirdly can corrupt the file. So at least have it saved and so on, and you can save your debriefing as well. So that's the mission. That is a Flaming Cliffs F5 playing Operation Revenge, and I hope that was of some use to you. If you have any comments or questions, write down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But until then, happy hunting and stay safe.